Hello and welcome to my program. It is Blaiktrout here, and this is going to be our video, or at least our analysis of our WPF VGC Draft. To tell you this, I'm pretty nervous because I've never done a VGC Draft before. I have never really done VGC in a crazy amount. I really didn't get into the format till 2015. I remember being a part of I think I was a part of a VGC league, but not a draft. When Pokemon Muno was pretty big, when I was using it a lot, got a part of that. But other than that, I've never done it for a draft. So draft league itself is pretty much tough with the whole. You have to pick up tiers and make sure your stuff work, have some great synergy. VGC is a whole different animal because you're not going to be using all the same stuff, And when I think about it, yeah, all the really good stuff that goes great to make a really possibly good team, that's gone. It's actually gone. Like, they're all S tiers, like, Kiss, all that and whatever. So I kind of picked up this league, or tried to join it up when Luke, my buddy, was telling me, like, hey, you play VGC, right? It's like, yeah, bro, like, try this out. And I'm like, oh, the WPF has a league. WPF is a very massive league. They have multiple divisions, and they just started their first season of the VGC draft. There's 18 coaches, 8 weeks, but since they're probably going to extend it to make it longer, but 8 weeks is enough. You had to draft 10 Pokemon, all from tier D to tier S. You get 4 free picks and 6 picks that have to either be a Gmaxmon, tier S, A and downward. And it's pretty hard. You had 1,000 points. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I did get sniped a multiple amount of times. But I think I got a team that I may like. But if it doesn't work out, there's also 5 free agency trades. There's no trading with coaches, but there's trading up and down and whatever. It's pretty interesting because I think with the free trades, you can probably trade your free mons around, but you need to have at least 1 mon for every tier that is mandatory. So of the 6, they have to be mandatory and part of your point collection. But yeah, you get 1,000 points. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let's just go into talk about the round 1 pick first. So yeah, what I wanted to do was thinking of getting Gmax Rillaboom, because at most that was only 60 points, and that means I still get the full Rillaboom plus the Gmax option, where it basically has the move Terravolt. Yep, its grass type moves will basically cut through any abilities like Sap Sipper, and it hits hard, extremely hard, along with terrain. I really wanted terrain control and was hoping that I can get Gmax Rillaboom, but that got sniped around, like, I think pick 4. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I really do need a Rillaboom, because my plan was either to go Rillaboom, Porygon 2, and Goodra first, because I like that really strong core. With Rillaboom, it's like, oh, crud. I pick it up now because it's like the last one, so I picked it up. The positive of this thing is that it does have decent stats. What is it? 125 attack does not go unnoticed. Plus, it has Grassy Glide, which is basically a priority move during its. I should know what this is. It's Grassy Glide. Grassy Glide basically gains +1 priority. Plus, I think it gets a 1.3 times boost in grass, or 1.2 times boost in grass terrain. So that means it's also not only a 70 power move, it's now basically like a 90-ish power move, and it hits hard for like 150. So it's 150 stab hitting your way every time on your line. It also gets other stuff. It gets knockoff, it gets U-turn, it gets superpower. I wish it had a rock move. I mean, dang it, if it had a rock move, it'd be the best thing in the world. But no, it doesn't have that. Realistically, all my strategies for it could only be used to just terrain control. People are using Psy Spam, which sadly, I think 4 teams have Psy Spam, and I'm sad, but I can work around that, and it's fine to deal with it. I mean, I'm not fully dependent on a lot of these Pokemon, because I think every draft was just based on, like, oh, let's get this, let's get that. I don't know if there's really any synergy. If you looked at Time Guy's team analysis, we got 12th. Which I'm like, I totally understand. At least he put the consideration of how flexible the team is, because I can make a team of whatever I want with this and still win. So that's good. That made me sleep better at night, because I was like, yeah, there is some problems. And for this round, I think I usually would go with a Miracle Seed, but it also can go with Assault Vest to take hits way better. Its coverage moves are kind of weak. Like, there's not really many coverage moves for Bug. Not really many coverage moves for a lot of things, but for what it normally does and why it's S tier is just that it hits hard and it also has terrain control. It's a nightmare for grass types. Sorry, it's a nightmare for pretty much water types, grass types. I think if it was G-Max Rillaboom, it could go toe-to-toe with G-Max Lapras and D-Max Tyranitar. And if you hit it with just a G-Max grass move, or I think if you had regular grass, I think you can knock it out. Because this also goes toe-to-toe with Terrakion and G-Max Terrakion and knock it out. Which, I like that. I really do like that a lot. You know, get yourself a Follow Me Mon and then just knock out Terrakion like that. It's just great. It's really just the whole point of it. It really does hit hard, and it does make people have to, like, prep for that and bring their fire types. So, that's pretty much it for why I picked up Rillaboom. I just needed something that could actually have terrain control, hits hard, also has Fake Out, and a lot of decent physical moves. Darkest Lariat. So, decent coverage, but not coverage for its weaknesses that well. That's really it. It gets Swords Dance, surprisingly, but that's kind of useless in this format. Okay, so Porygon 2 was the round 2 pick, and I was so scared I wasn't going to get this one because I was thinking of getting it first, but I'm like, no, let's get Rillaboom now while we can. And I almost, it was taken like in the back half of the second round. And I'm like, oh God, please get it to me, please get it to me. And I went and took it. And the reason why I picked up Porygon 2 is that it's such a freaking tank. This duck, I love this duck so much. There are so many things I would do for this duck. I would give it all the bread it wants. Even if it's data bread. I will find out how to make a program for bread to give it to it. But the thing about it is that it not only is pretty nice stats, like look at its defenses, like 90 defense, 95 defense, even its special attack is above average, 105 is still good, really decent HP at 85. It's basically just screams, I'm bulky, make me bulky daddy. Like, come on. Like, you can't just say that. Not only that, when you give it Eviolite, it's literally one of the biggest defensive options in the game. It not only gets, it's just, it's anything. It also has the ability to download and trace, but download is mostly used more often because, boom, you can gain special attack or attack based on the stage, and you can plan around accordingly with that, but mostly if you have a special attack boost out the gates, that's actually pretty useful. It also adds more to that 105 special attack. What I also realized is that this thing gets Trick Room, which is a great move. I mean, Trick Room on its own, it's just like, boom, we get a Trick Room setter. We also get Ally Switch. It also gets, usually going for like Thunderbolt, Ice Beam. It could go for Blizzard, and I'm probably sure it gets Thunder too, doesn't it? Nope, it does. Thunder if it wanted to. So if you're working around with a weather team like Rain or Ice, it can come in handy to hitting both your opponents if you wanted to. It also gets, I think, Icy Wind, right? Thought it did. Oh God, it gets Icy Wind! What? Oh wow, that's nuts. I don't think it's legal, but I think it is legal, but yeah, you can get Icy Wind. That's actually pretty cool. So you can mess with speed if you want to. Ally Switch gives you redirection. But yeah, against something like Duraludon, it completely means nothing. But it also has a pretty big bulk, so if you build it physically defensively, it can actually take a Max Knuckle from Terrakion without any boosts. It can take some pretty good physical hits real well, or special hits depending on how you build it. So you can make it physical or special. You can even do mix and it may work. It also gets like Tri Attack, which also has like a certain percentage of a 20% chance to paralyze, burn, or freeze the target. That's crazy. Not only that, it also gets Foul Play. So if you're going to get something that has high offense, you can knock stuff out real well, especially if you have like a Follow Me set and you can just knock out stuff like Cinderace because it has so much stuff. But, you know, Cinderace is pretty strong and I don't want to deal with that. And, you know, that's it. Porygon 2 in a nutshell. Now, Milotic is a Pokemon I used to just straight up hate because it was such a pain in the butt to beat in Pokemon Emerald. Like, you know how it's just so ridiculously bulky and it can heal itself too on top of that? It was one of my bane of existences in draft leagues. Oh, I hated this thing. But I love it. I've used it a couple of times, especially in draft leagues. I've won a league because of this Pokemon as well. I loved Milotic. And in VGC, it's actually pretty dang good. It's ability competitive, where if in case a stat gets lowered, it just gets a +2 attack boost right out the gates out of nowhere. It does get Marble Scale, but it's not used as often because you shouldn't really be worried about being hacks, because you're either going to get, I think, put to sleep, and that's just useless in the beginning. I think it gets sleep talk, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but if it does, that'd be pretty funny. Nope, it does. Oh, it does. It does get sleep talk. So if I was expecting to get put to sleep, then that'd be some major tech. But other than that, it gets surf, gets scald. Haze is hilarious. It's a very hilarious move, but it's kind of useless in a lot of ways because it kind of screws you up as well. It doesn't really get screens, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Recover, it gets weather ball now. It gets triple axle. So you could do a physical set, which isn't too dumb because you do get coil still. Coil, triple axle, flip turn. Man, you can make a physical set now. It actually makes sense to do it. But not only that, it also gets muddy water and icy wind. And along with its bulk, it could also have certain moves to just shut down your opponent. It gets hypnosis as well, which can put your opponent to sleep. So really, my look is just a really nice bulky water type that can be very useful. And even more useful when it's Dynamaxed, of course. And, it could all work out. Not only that, it also gets other stuff. Breaking Swipe. So really, it has some physical moves that make some type of sense that could work in VGC, but, other than that, not the most useful. I do like how Mirror Code is a thing, but it's also kind of useless because if you're going against one special attacking Mon, it's not the biggest amount of tech. It just has a lot of moves and a lot of ways to just help itself heal itself or knock Pokemon out of the way if they have like a bunch of boosts. It can be really tricky and very challenging to maneuver around unless you have like a grass or electric type. And its stats are actually pretty nice. You see 125 special defense is very good. It also has 100 special attack, which is at least serviceable and very good HP. So again, I'm just picking up a thick team at this point. And I'm liking it. So that's really all I have to say about my Lodic. And here is our 4th round pick, good old-fashioned Goodra. The reason why I picked up Goodra was because in my head I've used it so many times in a couple of teams. I just love this thing. I love this Pokemon so much now. It's so good. It used to be just a really major annoyance. But then once new stuff came along in the DLC, it's become a pretty nice Premier Mon. It has great abilities. It has Gooey, Sap Sipper, Hydration. Honestly, Gooey's not the most useful, but Sap Sipper is so good. It shuts down grass types so well. It's a really great Pokemon to kind of just like go up against stuff like Rillaboom or go up against stuff like any like Sun teams with Venusaur. And it also has 150 special defense. That is ridiculous. Not only that, it has 100 attack or special attack, so you could go physical or special. Its HP is also very good. 90 is great. The only thing that sucks is probably its defense. Even its speed's not too bad, so you can do a Tailwind team if you wanted to go with speed. Weakness Policy set is usually what I was going to go with for this thing, or just give it Assault Vest and just let it just rain Fury. Not only that, it has a lot of good attacks, a lot of coverage actually. It has Blizzard, Aqua Tail, Draco Meteor, and Dragon Pulse. It has Earthquake, it has Fire Blast, Fire Punch, Flamethrower. It has a lot of physical and special moves that can totally work in your advantage, especially in Dynamax, meaning that if it is a Pokemon that has a lot of moves, of coverage moves like these, when it Dmaxes or Dynamaxes, it's going to be a problem to deal with defensively. Not only that, Goodra only has 3 weaknesses to work around. Plus, even if it gets hit by super effective moves, if it's Dmax, it's going to survive it if it's special. Dragon's pretty physical. Fairy's mostly special most of the time, except for Azumarill and Azumarill. That's really it. And for, I guess, Ice, again, Ice is usually just special here, except for maybe Weavile and Mamoswine, but we don't really have to worry about that. We're not really going to prep too hard for that anyways. Look at this. It even got Sludge Wave coverage for Fairies. And you think about it, like, you have just, if you do the right thing where you have Mud Shot, which is like G-Max Ground, you get a special defense boost. You get, I think it has Steel. Doesn't it have Steel? It should have Steel. And it does. Boom, defense boost. You can also get a terrain up or change the weather with water or fire or ice. It works in all good ways. It's just, I love this Mon. And really it works well because it's just a big, thick girl, boy, dragon, sentient goop dragon. I just love this thing. It's probably the best Mon in the whole format. That's in my opinion. So, that's really all I want to say about that. It's just really good. Not only that, it's just going to really be probably the cornerstone of my team. And I don't want to trade this thing away. Nope. And it was also a B tier Mon. You know, like, my Ludwig was an A tier, but my Goodra was a B tier. This was a steal. I'm going to just say that. Okay, so for the 5th round, I was thinking Comfey. Why? Because Comfey and Goodra pair very well. Its ability to triage is just great. It also has probably like a very decent amount of defense. Like, its stats aren't bad. I mean, HP's meh, and he's not that good. Attack sucks. Defense is alright. It's a very bulky mon with 100 speed, which is, I guess, really above average. Or at least good enough to be fast, I guess. It also has a bunch of decent moves, I guess. I keep saying I guess. I suppose it does. Does it have screens? Oh, look, it has light screen and no reflect, of course. Man, I don't have a screen center. Oh, well, who cares? It's VGC. It also has a whole bunch of grass type moves. Bullet Seed, Leech Seed. You know, again, with Staff Saver, if I had a physical set, I could just up its attack or anything if it was a physical Goodra set, or give it like a Draining Kiss while it demaxes and set off the what is it called? The weakness policy. And you know, that would just make more sense. It's just too good. What makes it really lame though for me is that it does get Trick Room as well. It should get Tailwind because it apparently did get it, but it doesn't exist anymore in this gen for it. Maybe until later. Otherwise, we still get Ally Switch. We still get a bunch of other things. I don't really have a Tailwind setter, which kind of stinks, actually. I don't have any massive forms of speed control. So that's really my only problem so far. I thought getting it is like, oh, it has Tailwind. But still, it's good. It outweighs the bad, and it can still really come in handy. Gets growth. If we picked up a Fire type, we could probably get a Sun team going if we wanted, but probably not. And, you know, that's it for Comfey. Next mon. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you, I really did not care about getting a G-Max mon in the slightest. My issue with this was more of that whole, I don't know what to get. Like, early on, I'm seeing a bunch of people pick up round 1 picks when it came to just getting G-Max mons. I was thinking, oh, okay, that makes some sense to get what you want to get. Just the massive problem with this was, I couldn't think of anything. I thought of getting a G-Max Steel type because, oh, that's good, because then it's just going to have automatically great defense, and then, boom, it just gets taken. I'm like, wow, really? I was thinking, oh, let's do G-Max Dualudon. Oh, it got taken. And we're going to face that week 1, which is sad, but whatever we're going to do. Dualudon runs through my whole team at this point. Next step was maybe getting G-Max Corviknight, but I was like, I don't know if I want to get G-Max Corviknight. It's a steel flying, and it's not as great as it was before, since people are really focusing on using stuff that can knock it out pretty easily. But it does get Tailwind. I don't know, I might be deciding to drop Grimmsnarl for that, but I kind of like Grimmsnarl for the fact that it is a Prankster mon. We could probably ditch it if we wanted to in the future for something better, but it's just that, you know, it does get 120 attack, which isn't terrible. You know, that's actually pretty good. So not only that, it hits hard. It already has decent special attack, though I can switch around on that. You know, and Prankster mons do what Prankster mons have, and its G-Max form does put on maybe to sleep, makes them drowsy at minimum. But I realized it's not that good anyways. I'm really considering that I could trade this if I wanted to. But, you know, a Prankster mon is actually pretty nice because it could shut down a lot of things. With Prankster, you can just use taunts. I think I could get Sableye if I wanted, but I'm going to probably think about it. I was thinking about getting Sableye, but, you know, we'll probably see. I can still make the trades if I wanted to, if I didn't really care about Grimmsnarl that much. But, you know, again, we'll move to that if I have to move to that. So I'm not going to say anything else about it. But, you know, Grimmsnarl's alright. It's not trash. It's got False Surrender. It has all the elemental punches, which is nice. It also gets Trick. It also gets Taunt, which is very important in game. Also gets stuff like Screens, Thunder Wave, Fake Out. Ain't useless. Gets Snarl. So there's things we can do. You know. Yeah. That's it. I'm sorry about being flat about G-Max Grimmsnarl, but when it comes to G-Max mons, I think of them as like gimmicky, and I don't really like using them too much. I mean, there are goated ones. There's all the G-Max starters and G-Max Lapras, but you know, the rest just I don't see the appeal. G-Max Snorlax is impossible to kill, by the way. I don't like dealing with that alone. If you don't have anything that can beat it, that can beat the crap out of it physically, you're kind of screwed, which sucks, but nothing you can really do about that. So yeah, enough of that. So let's move on to the next Pokemon. And our 7th round pick, I really just wanted Gigalith. It was in my plan somewhere, but the reason why I wanted it was because I thought of it more as a budget sand setter. You know, it gets Sandstream, which of course it helps me shut down weather when I need to shut it down. Not only that, it has no speed, so not many mons can just straight up like outspeed me or outslow me, because apparently weather setting, the slower weather setter gets control of the board when it comes to the weather. So that's weird. Plus look, it has 135 attack, and yeah, I'm kidding. 135 attack is very nice. That hits extremely hard. It's basically just the same as not Typhlosion, what's that thing called? Tyranitar, which really wasn't drafted, which surprisingly. Because, well, yeah, I don't think anyone wants to make a sand team right now with that. But just, you know, sand is very useful because it's nice and disruptive. Plus, it gets a special defense boost. So really, that whole 80 special defense is really 120 at that point if you add that. Plus 130 defense is very nice, so it can take hits. It only has 5 weaknesses, and it can't really die to anything that's basically not +2. So weakness policy sets are really nice. You could do assault vest sets. You could do Rindo Berry, other stuff. Mostly just use the hit hard, and it does get wide guard, which can help me block up other stuff. It also gets heavy slam, flat hand, iron head, a whole bunch of physical coverage. Throat chop, which is more useful than you think. It gets Weather Ball too. If its special attack wasn't doo-doo 60, it might be useful for that. You know, it also gets like Bulldoze and whatnot, so it could also help with like Trick Room setup and whatnot. Else, it does get Solar Beam surprisingly, but yeah, it doesn't do too much. It's more of a one-trick pony. It's kind of like I'm not expecting it to do anything crazy. It's just I like that it's just there, just to keep like the weather together, because I didn't get a rain team or a sun team. I thought doing a weather team would be too hard to do, because people are going to just take that from me and just snipe me out of it, so I didn't feel like dealing with that. But getting sand is better, and no one really thinks to pick up Gigalith in the earlier rounds or later rounds even. I thought, oh well, people are probably going to take Tyranitar, and I thought of doing Tyranitar because I like Tyranitar a lot. It does have bulk. It has better special bulk than Gigalith has, but it has 7 weaknesses along with having a quad weakness to fighting, which can be common coverage for a lot of things, which I don't want to deal with. It's not that bad, really. Problem though is that it might just be more of a one-trick pony where it just is either meant to either G-Max or D-Max and get big, or it's meant to do something else that's important. Maybe just set sand, but I don't have any sand force mons on this team, of course, because I didn't think about that at the time being. Actually, it gets sand force, which is useless if there's no other sand setters. So yeah, it ain't a big deal. Moving on to the next mon. Okay, so our 8th round pick was Passimian. I needed to get a C tier mon. And you know what's funny though? I got like 4 B tier mons, but I only have 1 C tier, and I thought that Passimian could be the move. I thought about getting a fighting type, but I wanted something to get past the intimidate users. So the ability receiver is pretty nice if I want to use like something. But really, I took it for just a Defiant, where it gets an attack boost instead of an attack drop. And with Defiant, it does pretty well. It also has pretty great physical move pool, especially when it D-maxes, because, you know, acrobatics for flying, or it gets dark, it gets poison, it gets a whole bunch of coverage that I find great. And physical offensive coverage, by the way, which is great. It also gets Taunt if I really need to use that, which is good too. It's meant to really just hit hard. It has 120 attack, 100 HP, decent defense, but its special defense is pretty lackluster. I probably would think of doing like a assault vest set, which is probably better than nothing, and give it a whole bunch of fighting type moves. Doesn't it get fake out? I think it gets fake out. No, it does not. I was wrong. But yeah, it does get a lot of things. It gets counter, but it's also kind of useless to use that because you don't really know what your opponent's going to pull in these leagues. You know, Rock Slide. You know, it can change weather too when it D-maxes. So really, it's more of like another mon that can D-max and be just a big handful. And with 80 speed, that means Trick Room can be a possibility if I wanted to make it a possibility. So, you know, 80 speed minimum is really all you need to just make the game work in your favor, since you don't really need to be ridiculously fast for a lot of things when you can just use like max airstream to speed up. I mean, that's just a fact. Like minimum 80 just to outspeed stuff like Dragapult, which is totally fine with me. So let's move on to the last pick. I'm kidding, we got 2 more to go. But also, this is another Pokemon that may be on the trade shop block, honestly. That and Grimmsnarl. So I already know what 4 mods, if I really had to get rid of them, are in this draft, if I don't feel comfortable using them anymore. Okay, so I picked up Aegislash in the case of, I needed a Steel type and a Ghost type. I wanted to get Chandelure, but Chandelure is taken. I might trade this thing off, honestly, because the reason why I wanted to get a Fire type was just so I don't have to worry about getting blasted. But really, we're not too worried about Fire because we have a whole bunch of Fire type defensives. So the reason why I wanted to pick up something like Cinderace is just because it hits really hard. Now the cool thing about Aegislash is that it has no speed. And really, the Steel typing is great because I don't have to worry about being screwed up too much. It only has 3 weaknesses, which is basically Ghost, Dark. Nope, sorry, 4 weaknesses. Ghost, Dark, Fire, and Ground, which is not the biggest deal. It has great defenses. If it's Blade, it has great attack. I can go physical or special, or both even if I wanted to. King Shield's nice, but it does get kind of meaningless because it does get bypassed by a lot of things. It gets Destiny Bond, it gets Close Combat now. It's another Wide Guard mon. I think it doesn't get Body Press, sadly, but that's fine. It also gets like Flash Cannon, Shadow Ball. And Autotomize is useless. It's really just a one-trick pony again. It's kind of like what Gigalith is. It's just there for the convenience. This one is also another one that's sort of on the chopping block that I've been thinking about, but I think I won't go do anything crazy unless I just don't use it whatsoever. I mostly just picked it up because I thought, well, I wanted to get a Ghost type anyways, but we might change that up for something else. I'll have to look at the tiers again, but I picked this thing up out of the sake of, like, that's not a bad pickup. It gets Wide Guard. It also gets really good defense, and if I use the right types of sets, I can really work around my opponent defensively and kind of stall out their Dynamax if they have it. So that's pretty cool. I think it gets Brick Break, doesn't it? Yep, it can also shut down screens. So that's great. Screw you, Max Lapras. Okay, so the last pick was a meme pick, honestly. I'll admit to that. It's my good old buddy Bariardo, or Mr. Mime. Why do I like Mr. Mime? Because, dear God, look at its stats. It's bull honky, but it's dog crap. But look. The reason why I picked this up is because the fact that it does get redirection with Follow Me. It also gets Fake Out. It gets a lot of utility. It's a utility ridiculous. It gets dual screens, which is nice. The abilities, Soundproof and Technician, are okay. Filter's also very nice too. I didn't even know it gets Filter, but like, yeah, it's Psychic Fairy. It only loses to Ghost, Steel, Poison, and that's it. Wow, it only loses to 3 types now instead of just more than a couple. Like Mr. Mime was just a basic Psychic and it loses to 3, but it loses to 3 different types that again are totally coverable in my eyes. And 120 special defense is something to not laugh at. It's pretty nice. Oh, what the heck, Devin Booker. Sorry if you heard that. But other than that, it's really not the biggest deal. When I look at something like, what? It does things. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Now, this could be a Pokemon that's supposedly on the chopping block, but I like having having a Psychic type that can kind of go against the whole Psychic Spam situation. I don't think it gets other terrain stuff. Does it get Psychic Terrain? No, it does not. But yeah, it can do stuff. I'll just have to think about what I want to do with it later. I'll figure it out. It's just the whole, it gets Expanding Force. That's nice. And Dazzling Gleam. Hey, look, it gets Brick Break. So yeah, it's just there. Yeah, does it get Trick Room? No. So yeah, it gets stuff. Again, like I said before, I could ditch it. So until that day comes, which maybe never, I don't know. So yeah, it's okay. So that's really all there is to it for all of these Pokemans. So hey, thanks for watching my very terrible video on a team analysis. I kind of like to thank Tangler boots because he kind of helped me with the pickup, and maybe he might be my whole front office at this point. I don't know, probably not. But yeah, if it wasn't for him, I probably would not have thought of bringing in Milotic or I think Mr. Mime. But that's really all there is to it. Anyways, I really think I can probably get some more content out if I need to. So thanks for watching. I will most likely probably be putting out more WPF content. Maybe. Someday. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. I think I just said that already. So, later.